Hi, my name is Greg Villalobos and I've been waiting a long time to make this film. Today, Adventure Spec launched their first waterproof pant. It is called the Singletrack Pant and I'm going to tell you all about it. Okay, snapshot. The Singletrack Pant is built for trail, adventure, dual sport riders who are not put off by bad weather. So you ride year round. Here in the UK, that's particularly in autumn, winter, early spring, when it is cold, it is wet, it is muddy, sometimes it is snowing, and you need a waterproof pant that is going to keep you warm and dry. It's designed predominantly for people that ride off-road and on trails and need a waterproof overpant that's going to fit over their own armour that they wear underneath, such as big chunky knee braces and big chunky motocross boots. So it's specifically cut to fit over your own protective armour underneath. So this footage is from earlier this year. I've been testing the prototypes for the Singletrack Pant for about 18 months through the various iterations, and this was early this year, kind of late winter, early springtime. You can see it wasn't actually raining on this particular day, but the trails are wet and muddy. And this is Rupert putting the pant through the conditions that it was built for. This next bit is Rupert going, actually it's quite a tricky lane, and the mud here is really kind of, it sticks to everything. It's bright orange, it's kind of really clay. And I really remember kind of all of the mud was kind of splattered all over us for like 2 days afterwards. But on his 701, again, this is symbolic of kind of the kind of trails that this pant was built for. And then further into the trip, it actually did start raining, kind of 8 hours, wall-to-wall rain through the Lake District, kind of the fine, kind of drizzly, just like wet all-day rain that the Lake District is famous for. It's the reason why there are lakes in the Lake District. And it was a really good opportunity to give the Singletrack Pant a thorough test. So back in the studio in drier conditions, we've got Chris here, and he's wearing the Super Shirt, which is our CEAA rated base layer. Go have a look at the other film about that. And he's wearing that along with the Singletrack Pant. And you can see here quite clearly that we've chosen to launch the Singletrack Pant in quite a simple colour, a black, raven, charcoal, quite dark, with the highlights of the Kevlar panels on the hips and the knees. And really we've chosen to go with quite a simple colour because we want the Singletrack Pant to be able to work with the rest of our Adventure Spec gear. So you can see here Chris has got the Linesman jacket in black, very popular jacket, works well. And then we've also got Chris with the Singletrack jacket over the top. And the Singletrack jacket and the Singletrack Pant are designed specifically to work together as a system to keep you dry in wet conditions. If you want to find out more about the Singletrack jacket or any of our other gear, go have a look at some of our films. I go into quite a lot of detail about how that jacket was constructed and its waterproof qualities. Okay, so the origin story. The Singletrack Pant has been on our to-do list pretty much from day one. We're about 7-8 years into manufacturing our own adventure motorcycle clothing now. The mission was always to create outdoor gear for adventure motorcyclists that kind of bridges that gap between what you need as a motorcyclist and what you need as a trail rider that's doing multi-day trips and living on and off their bike. We always knew we needed a waterproof pant. It's just taken us a long time to get here. I'm very, very glad that we finally are here. So as trail, adventure, dual sport riders, people that ride off-road on our bikes, we all know that actually the requirements that we have out of our kit is quite unique. We are not normally sat on a bike for 8 hours in one position where something can be cut for that particular position. We're on the road, we're off-road, we're getting hot from our own body temperature, we're cooling down on the road sections, we're standing up on the bike, we're falling off the bike, we're getting off the bike and we're walking around putting tents up and hanging around campfires. And to get a set of clothing that does all that is quite difficult. And that's why Adventure Spec have built our philosophy around layers. For our pants or trousers, if you're in the UK, I always get people complaining that I call them pants and not trousers. Sorry, it depends where you are in the world. We started our pant trouser journey with the Atacama and Mongolia pant, which was built for Lyndon to race in the Dakar Rally. and they were actually semi-waterproof, but they use stretch panels in the crotch area and behind the knees, which are really great for comfort, but obviously stretchy, breathable material isn't waterproof. And then we launched the Linesman pant, which is not waterproof at all, but extremely comfortable. And we learned a lot through that process about creating something that fits really, really well for the various requirements that I've explained about up, down, on, off, all the rest of it. And so when it came to the Singletrack pant, we kind of purposefully left the most difficult pant to the end of our R&D journey, as it were, and it allowed us time to actually learn the most. And even then, it was still a challenge to get this right. And I've worn all sorts of prototypes that were almost great, not quite there, and we've refined it and refined it and refined it. And I'm really excited that we've actually managed to create a waterproof pant that is reasonably light, very waterproof, very breathable, something that you can wear all day on the bike. You can wear it off the bike. If it was boiling hot in the summer, you probably don't need the waterproof pant, but if there's any hint of poor weather, I think it performs really, really well. So over the last 18 months, I think actually it's probably more like 2 years, but it's kind of terrifying to talk about it in those time scales. But we've done huge amount of R&D on this. We've done a lot of working with the factory to refine the fit, to refine the way the features work, and I'm going to talk about all those in this film. But one thing that I just kind of wanted to flag up here is the amount of testing that we've done. I personally have been out riding the Singletrack pant through all conditions, from kind of very, very hot summer conditions, which are kind of not really what it's designed for, right through to kind of very cold, wet winter conditions, which fortunately we have good access to here in the UK. And the point of that really is to try and find where the limit of this gear is. So we kind of know where its performance levels are optimized for and where it's starting to creep outside of those. And it's important to know where no gear is built to do everything well. It's really important for me to understand where the limit of this gear is, so I can explain it to you and help you make decisions about what is the right gear for the conditions that you're going to be riding in. And the other thing I want to flag up here, we've partnered with really good people that we trust to put more miles on it. So it's not just down to me. We've partnered with, here in the UK, in Wales, Moto Junkies, Rally Moto, who run roadbook events, the TRF. We've worked with members of the TRF, which is the Trail Riders Fellowship, who do a lot of trail riding here in the UK. And I've worked with people in all those organisations to go out, put miles on. We've had good feedback, we've had negative feedback, and it's really helped us learn about how the Singletrack pant is performing in the real world, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. And once we'd fed a lot of the feedback back to our factory, we realised that actually we were going to have to upgrade some of our kits. So the factories went out and upgraded their seam taping machinery specifically to make sure that we got it right here on the Singletrack pant. And I'm really, really proud of the team that everyone went to the effort to kind of get this right. So this was earlier this year. It's quite a difficult clip to watch this for me personally. This was out riding with Adam and Chris and Rupert and Clive, and we were in the Lake District and it was pouring with rain and conditions were pretty bad, and Rupert had a really, really unfortunate tumble here. Don't really know what happened, but he came off his 701, landed pretty hard on his hip, and he was wearing the Singletrack pant during this. He was also wearing the super shirt, Linesman jacket, and the Aqua pack jacket, waterproof jacket over the top. Unfortunately, you know, when this happened, I thought it was game over. You know, right, we're going to have to get an ambulance and get him off the hill. Amazingly, Rupert managed to get up and dust himself off and get back. Will went back to the hostel and dried out that night, and he continued the next day. And that was really because underneath his Singletrack pant, he had really, really high quality armour. He's very particular about his the way he protects himself. So he had motocross boots on, he had big pod knee braces, and he also had I'm not sure if it was hard or soft, but he had shorts on with protective armour built into those shorts. And the Singletrack pant did its job in terms of keeping him dry during that day and protecting him from abrasion injuries, and the armour that he had on underneath protected him from the impact injuries. I think he did have a bit of a bruise, but he did get away with it. So I've mentioned briefly some of our other pant trousers. I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail to tell you how the Singletrack Pant compares to those, if you're looking at the range of what we make and trying to figure out what's right for you. So here we've got the Singletrack Pant up next to the Linesman Pant. These are very, very different products. The Linesman Pant is not waterproof. It's quite a simple pant. It doesn't have any vents or anything on it. It's really designed as a hiking pant that has got CE certification in to make it suitable for adventure trail road riding. So the Linesman Pant is really built for Trans-Euro trail adventures where you having quite a relaxed approach to your ride. You're getting off, going into coffee shops in town squares in Spain or Bosnia or wherever, and you want to look like an outdoor walker, hiker. You don't necessarily want to kind of feel like you're a hard technical motorcyclist. The Singletrack Pant, compared to that, I would say is a looser fit. It's designed to go over your own armour underneath. It's waterproof. It's not a heavy pant by any stretch, but it is heavier than the Linesman Pant. It's not going to breathe as well as the Linesman Pant, but it is going to keep you warmer and it is going to keep you dry in poor conditions. Whereas the Linesman Pant, you know, I would ride it through a light rain shower, and if I got wet with puddles, I know it would dry quickly. But if it was raining all day here in the UK, I would definitely choose the Singletrack Pant over the Linesman Pant. Mongolia and Atacama Pant, I'm going to talk about these two the same, because essentially the Atacama Pant is the in the boot version of the Mongolia Pant. The cut of the Singletrack Pant is quite similar to the Mongolia Pant. It is looser. It is looser than the Linesman Pant. It is designed to go over your own armour underneath. It is a relaxed fit. The Mongolia Pant and Singletrack Pant can both be worn with braces. They've got brace loops, and I found actually putting braces on has really helped keep everything in the right place, and it's actually been a bit of a revelation how comfortable wearing braces are. So the fabrics used in the Mongolia Pant are waterproof. They have waterproof backing on them, got a PU film behind the nylon outer. However, the Mongolia Pant is constructed from lots of stretch panels, and one of the key selling points of the Mongolia Pant is it is such a comfortable fit, because those panels are designed to stretch when you're getting your leg over the bike, standing up, moving around, all the performance that you would need for riding the Dakar Rally. But also, if you're riding the Dakar Rally and you're putting in a fast kind of time and you're kind of riding competitively, you may put up with a little bit of moisture getting through. The point is that the Mongolia Pant is not seam taped, because we've got these stretchy kind of fabric in the crotch and groin area and behind the knees. That's not waterproof. So the Mongolia Pant is not a waterproof pant. The Singletrack Pant is. It doesn't quite have the same flexibility as the Mongolia Pant, but it is going to keep you much drier, much longer than the Mongolia Pant. One key feature that I really want to kind of flag up here is that if you're familiar with the Mongolia Pant, one of the other key features of that is that we specifically designed it to go over motocross boots, because we know that a lot of our community take their foot, ankle, lower leg protection pretty seriously, and they ride in big chunky motocross boots, and we specifically took the lower leg of the Mongolia Pant and transplanted it onto the Singletrack Pant. So it has the same closure mechanism as the Mongolia Pant. It's designed to go over big chunky motocross boots. Okay, the Gravel Pant, depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching it as part of our launch, you'll be like, hang on, what's the Gravel Pant? The Gravel Pant is something that we've been working on in tandem with the Singletrack Pant. Essentially, the Gravel Pant and Singletrack Pant are almost identical, with some key important differences that I need you to know about. The Singletrack Pant is designed for people who ride off-road trails. They need their pant to be quite a loose fit because they want to wear their own armour underneath. So you wear knee braces and you wear big chunky motocross boots, the Singletrack Pant is for you. The Gravel Pant, although it looks very similar, essentially it's got very similar features. The Gravel Pant is CE certified comes with armour included and is designed predominantly for people who need a wet weather pant, mostly for riding on the road. So if you ride off-road, Singletrack Pant is for you. If you ride on the road, the Gravel Pant is really designed for you. One of the key differences there is that the cut of the Gravel Pant is slimmer. The Gravel Pant will not fit over your big chunky knee braces, and the lower leg closure of the Gravel Pant is a zip, a velcro and a zip. It is designed to go over slimmer adventure boots. If you wear big chunky motocross boots, the Gravel Pant will not fit over your gear. Okay? So, if you ride trails, off-road, you need a relaxed fit to go over your own armour and your own boots, your big chunky boots, Singletrack Pant. You need something that goes over slimmer adventure boots and you're not wearing your own armour, Gravel Pant. Depending on when you're watching this film, as of today, which is late summer 2023, the Gravel Pant is still in production. It is going through CE certification. It will be out sometime in 2024. Unless you're watching this next year, in which case I'm sure I will have made another film about the Gravel Pant, which you can go and watch. Okay, I'm going to dive into some of the details of the Singletrack Pant now and some of the features. Everything I'm going to talk about is also on our website, but if you want it from me, stay tuned. Okay, so built for rain, kind of obvious. I hope that you have picked up on that by now. I've been out testing this Singletrack Pant from just above freezing, maybe 2-3 degrees, through to kind of getting quite warm, 21, 22, 23 degrees. And in all conditions, but particularly in very, very wet weather here in the UK. I would say it is absolutely at home in winter conditions. You know, if I'm cold, I'll layer up underneath it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If I'm hot, it has vents on the front thigh and the rear of thigh, an exhaust vent, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a minute. So you do have the ability to kind of control your temperature to a certain extent, but really it's at its core in 5 degrees to 12, 15 degrees in wet weather. So 3-layer breathable fabric. In order to get that wet weather performance that we need out of the Singletrack Pant, we've developed a 3-layer breathable waterproof fabric. So the outer layer is very, very tough Nylon 6/6 fabric, which has high abrasion resistance qualities. It's a tough material. So bonded to that, the mid layer is a PU film, which creates a waterproof barrier. And importantly, if it's waterproof, it's also windproof, which often doesn't really get talked about, but is very, very helpful when you're riding through cold wind. PU film acts as a barrier, preventing water from traveling through the pant, but it's also breathable, which allows moisture that is next to your leg, sweat, all that kind of stuff to evaporate out through the material. And the third layer of this 3-layer fabric is another layer of nylon. It's a nylon knit. It is not the same Nylon 6/6 that's on the outside, which is quite tough. It's a much softer nylon, and that's really there for comfort. So it feels comfortable against your legs. And so the factory take this material, they cut it into panels and they stitch it together to make this wonderful Singletrack Pant. But if you can imagine, everywhere that has been stitched, and this is the same for all waterproof gear, everywhere that's been stitched, you've put holes through this amazing waterproof material that you've worked so hard to develop. So on the back of those stitches, on the inside of the pant, is seam tape. And that is a layer of seam tape about 1/2 inch wide, which goes over the entirety of the pant where it's stitched together. And that seam tape is designed to have the final layer of waterproofing to keep the water out and the dry in. So I dropped this clip in here, which was on quite a difficult trail recently. You can't really tell, GoPro flattens it, but it was quite steep. So I'm wearing the Singletrack Pant. Rupert is also wearing the Singletrack Pant. And the point here is, even with a waterproof pant, if you're not riding in the rain, especially doing what we do, where you're building up body temperature, you're going to want something that breathes and allows some of the sweat and moisture that you're generating inside your body to escape. And that's what our breathable fabric does. Okay, hydrostatic head. Hydrostatic head is an important measurement of waterproofness. It's something that outdoor manufacturers are increasingly communicating to customers. And this is important because obviously there's waterproof garments out there that are more expensive and less expensive, and there's all sorts of reasons for that. But one of the reasons may be that a more expensive waterproof garment has a higher hydrostatic head, so it's working harder to keep water out than another waterproof garment that looks similar but has a lower hydrostatic head. The Singletrack Pant has a hydrostatic head of 30,000 millimeters or 30 meters, which means that the Singletrack Pant is designed to keep you dry in prolonged wet weather conditions. I personally have ridden it all day, 8 hours, in pretty torrential rain here in the Lake District. Everything has a limit. It's really important for me to communicate that nothing is 100% waterproof, but we have built these to be extremely waterproof and designed to keep you dry in some of the worst conditions that we can imagine being out comfortably, safely trail riding in. So Kevlar panels, these are a common feature across a lot of Adventure Spec clothing. We use Kevlar panels in abrasion areas, so on our jackets, that's on like our elbows, forearms, and our shoulders and hips. And here on our pant, on the Singletrack Pant, we're using the Kevlar panels on our hips and on our knees, and this is to add an extra layer of abrasion protection on areas that are likely to need it. These Kevlar panels are also backed with a waterproof material, so they add an extra layer of waterproofing. I find this particularly helpful for me personally. I'm always out taking photos, kneeling down. If you're not a photographer, you might be kneeling down working on your bike, and it just adds an extra layer of water repellency or water resistance on your knees when you're really pushing and squeezing down onto wet ground. Okay, as mentioned previously, one of the key features of the Singletrack Pant is that it's cut to go over your own body armor. So it's not CE certified. The Gravel Pant is the CE certified version of this, but essentially they're very, very similar products. The Singletrack Pant is really primarily designed for off-road riding and offers a lot of abrasion resistance along with waterproofing. If you're wanting to protect yourself from impact injuries, you really need to be wearing your own armor underneath. So this is me recently in a youth hostel getting changed. I don't wear stiff knee armor. I do wear soft knee armor. So this is like force field knee tubes, which I'm putting on here. And I find that works for the level of protection that I'm looking for. And here's a photo of what that looks like in the studio. So I've got my knee armor on and I've got the Singletrack Pant pulled up over the top of it. And then here we've got Rupert on the same trip, and you can see he's got a very different approach to his knee protection and also his hip protection. You can see he's wearing the protective shorts, but really the key thing here is he's got knee braces on that are massive. They're like, I think they're pod. They're high quality, stiff plastic, obviously built to bend, but really create quite a sizable chunky addition to your kind of natural leg shape, and the Singletrack Pant is designed to fit seamlessly over those. So I'm on the 300L, Rupert's on his 701, and you've only done like 500-600 miles on it, haven't you? Yeah. So like just a little illustration of the tallness, and Rupert's not a particularly short person like me. Go on then, Rupert, off you get.
Oh, that's better that time.
300 L. Oh, I'm still too short. Swing my leg properly over. I just dropped this clip in here. So this is Rupert and myself getting off tall adventure bikes. I'm not particularly tall. Rupert's a bit taller than me, but his 701 is very tall. And one of the key things there is that actually until you've done it, you don't realize that how much movement you need in your crotch to be able to swing your leg over these tall bikes. Like I mentioned before, if you want ultimate stretch, the Mongolia pant and the Linesman pant are very, very stretchy. The Singletrack is not quite as stretchy as those, but we have given consideration to the fact that, especially shorter riders, it's a long way to swing your leg over those tall bikes. Okay, the motocross boot issue that we've mentioned briefly already. So if you are pretty serious about riding your trails, in fact, I remember I was watching a video from Chris Birch recently, and he was talking about kind of how he gears up, and really he mentioned very specifically that if you're especially riding kind of larger adventure bikes, which if they come down, they're going to cause more damage to your foot. They're actually wearing a very, very stiff, large motocross style boot offers a lot more protection than an adventure boot. And we've taken that into consideration with the Singletrack Pant. It's something we learned with the Mongolia pant. So from the knee down on the Singletrack Pant, the opening closure of the boot is a very, very large section of velcro, which is adjustable. So it doesn't really matter exactly what size boot you've got, you can always get a snug fit. When you open that velcro out and pull up, you can really get a huge opening there. When you close it down, you use the velcro to kind of fasten, and then at the bottom there is a buckle. We call it a adjust once buckle. So basically once you've adjusted it, that buckle's always going to be in the same place, and you can use that to snap tight. Now there is logic to the fact that we've got two closure mechanisms. Really the main closure of the lower leg is being done by velcro, and the buckle is really a reserve. Now the velcro is ultimately adjustable and gets the best kind of closure. However, and if you have never ridden in mud, if you're, I don't know, in some beautiful hot part of the world and you just ride in sand, you will not know what mud does to velcro. But here in the UK, we got a lot of experience of riding in winter, wet, muddy conditions, and mud kills velcro. It kind of gets inside the little loops, and essentially after a certain amount of time, if you've only got velcro closures on the bottom of your leg, it ends up flapping around and doesn't really work. And that's why we added the buckle. So it's a fail-safe. Should the velcro clog up with mud over time, the buckle will always be able to be used to close the lower leg of the Singletrack Pant. I was out at a festival recently wearing these, and the first thing someone said is, "Oh, you're just going to stand on that buckle and break it." Well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But the point is that the buckles are very easy to replace. They just slide off, slide on a new set, away you go. So should you break them, you can replace them. They're very easy to find compatible buckles, or you can replace them with your own. So yeah, here we've got Rupert back in the dorm putting on his big chunky motocross boots. And the other thing to point out here is not only has he got motocross boots, I think they're Tech 7s or something like that, but his knee braces push those motocross boots out even further. So yeah, it's probably what we're seeing here is the limit of what you would expect any kind of knee brace boot closure to be. And this is typical of the velcro killing mud that we have here. It's a very kind of thick clay, claggy mud, and it can block up your velcro, but this is kind of typical of the conditions that in Northern Europe and in the UK you might be riding in winter, and this is why we've got those velcro and buckle closures. Yeah, you can see here I'm undoing the buckle and peeling up the boot, and in fact this is me wearing City Adventure 2s, which are a slimmer fit, and my knee tube underneath that. Okay, braces, a total revelation for me. I'm not going to lie, I'm not in the best shape of my life, but I'm not in the worst either. And I had always assumed that braces were something that larger guys wore to keep their trousers up without using a belt. So when we started developing and prototyping the Singletrack Pant, and we decided to add some simple braces to them to see how they work, I was kind of skeptical at first, and then I used it and I was like, oh my god, why have I waited so long to wear trousers with braces on? They really transform the comfort of the Singletrack Pant, and I dare say other riding pants as well. What they allow you to do is they just keep everything up, which is kind of obvious because that's what they're designed to do. But it gets rid of any of that like saggy bum kind of thing, especially when you're standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down, and you kind of, even if you've used the belt, adjustable belt on it, they're kind of riding down throughout the day. The braces on the Singletrack Pant just keep everything snug and where they're supposed to be. Here you've got Chris in the studio just showing them off with his super shirt. It's a simple brace mechanism. It's removable. You can also use the included belt buckle, integrated belt buckle, which is there, so you don't have to use the braces if you don't want them. But I would recommend you do, because it's super, super comfortable. So this is me putting them on with the Core armoured long layer underneath. And yeah, you can see I'm using both braces and the buckle. Belt and braces. Yeah, maybe that's where that comes from. I'm belt and braces. Anyway, the only issue that I have come across with the braces is when you need a trailside wee, it's a little bit trickier to pull them down, but not impossible, and worth the extra effort for the comfort that they provide. Okay, vents for cooling. Logic would say that the best way to prevent water from getting into a waterproof pant is to keep it as simple as possible and have as few opportunities for water to get in. So there's a real tension between keeping something very, very super waterproof, but also something that is breathable and meets the requirements of people riding in the way that we do. You know, we're out for extended periods of time, out in the great outdoors. We want a waterproof pant that's going to keep us dry when it's raining, but it's also going to keep us comfortable when it's not raining. So we've added large thigh vents on the front of the thigh and exhaust vents on the rear of the thigh. Those vents are not as large as on the Mongolia pant, which is super breathable. We've done that for a couple of reasons, partly down to design, but also trying to kind of get the right balance between allowing you to let air in, but minimizing any kind of opportunities for water to get in. So they are angled to keep the water out as you're riding through the rain. They've got protective flaps that cover them, and the particular zips that we use are very, very good at keeping water out. The other thing worth mentioning here is, although the Singletrack Pant is not CE certified, the design principles behind it are exactly the same as the Gravel Pant, which is CE certified. And in order to get CE certification, the vents or any zips or any openings on the pant have a limit to how far, when they're undone, how far that can open. So behind the vents, we've got a mesh material which is breathable, but also prevents that opening from stretching too far should you come off with the vent open on the road. So really it's about preventing abrasion injuries, creating an opening that lets enough air in but doesn't open too much to cause severe damage should you come off. So Hypalon, Ewan, that was the designer that worked on the Singletrack Pant, is a great fan of Hypalon, and you will see it used in a lot of our other products, from our Magadans through to our other trousers, pants, the Mongolia and Atacama pants. So Hypalon is kind of like a tough, malleable rubber material, and you can get it in you can get it in lots of grades, but we use it in a standard grade and a heat-proof grade. So we use the Hypalon around the very bottom of the Singletrack Pant, and we also use heat-proof panels that come up the inside of the leg, and they are there specifically to protect the inside of the leg from abrasion and rubbing on the bike, but also because it's heat proof, it's designed to add a little bit more protection should you come to contact with your exhaust. I would not recommend you try it, but if it happens, that's what the heat proof Hypalon is designed to do. It's not uncommon to find leather used in the same way. One of the benefits of Hypalon over leather is that Hypalon will not degrade when it's washed and dried and washed and dried. So if you've ever had leather panels on your motorcycle gear and you have actually washed it, you will notice that over time it cracks and the performance degrades, which won't happen with Hypalon. Big pockets. One of the features of the Singletrack Pant are these big thigh pockets. We've all got big phones these days, need big pockets. So we're rounding up now. So really, my experience of the Singletrack Pant is that it is really, really comfortable. For a waterproof pant, it's something that you can wear all day, and I have worn all day. On my recent trip up to Scotland, I actually took larger luggage so I could test the Linesman pant next to the Singletrack pant, and when it was super hot I had the Linesman pant on, and then when it was colder, didn't actually rain amazingly, but I wore the Singletrack pant for probably 4 or 5 days on the trot. I was wearing those while we were setting up camp and hanging out in the evening. Super comfortable. I can't really say as comfortable as the Linesman pant because that is on another level, but in terms of the fact that these are waterproof, tough, durable riding pant, they are incredibly comfortable to be worn all day. And you know, barring extremely hot temperatures, I think we've not had a hot summer here in the UK, and I think the Singletrack pant would have been fine to be worn all the way through the year. If you're going, 25, 26, 28 degrees and it's not going to rain, yeah, probably not the best choice. But for everything below that, you could literally wear this all year. This is Rupert at our first campsite, getting his tent ready. He's wearing the Singletrack pant with the trailhead jersey over the top, and I imagine the super shirt underneath. Rupert with the Linesman jacket, and Rupert with the Singletrack jacket out, putting some miles on the new gas with Adventure Spec hard parts. Also available, go have a look on the website if you're interested in those. Okay, a few examples just to show you how the Singletrack pant works with some of our other jackets. Here we've got Chris wearing the Singletrack pant and the Singletrack jacket in blue. As I've mentioned, these are designed to work really well together for anyone that is riding in wet and cold conditions. If it's cold, I would layer up underneath the Singletrack jacket. He's also got the alpine gloves, and you'll notice that the Singletrack jacket also features the same Kevlar panels as it does on the pant. In this one, Chris has swapped out the blue for the new triple black, so that's the Singletrack jacket triple black, if you're looking for a much more kind of toned down look. I think Chris looks great in this one. This is Chris wearing the Singletrack pant with the popular Linesman jacket in black, and he's got the super shirt on underneath that, and then swapping the black out for the Linesman jacket in grey. And then here we've got Chris wearing the Singletrack and the Mongolia jacket. So the Mongolia jacket is a very breathable CE AA certified jacket. It's made of a mesh material, so it's really designed for hot weather riding. Wouldn't traditionally put these two things together. However, if you were to layer up with a waterproof jacket over the top, would work really well in wet conditions. And then Chris here, Singletrack jacket with the new Aqua jacket in blue. The Aqua jacket is designed to be stashed away really small. Mine just lives in my pannier all the time. Comes out if it's wet, but also if it's windy. It's really good wind stopper as well. And as mentioned, if it's cold, you can layer up underneath the Singletrack pant. So I would probably be out riding in my Core shorts anyway. And then if it was particularly cold, I would put the Core long leg underneath to add extra warmth. Okay, a brief comment on maintenance. So this is really to manage expectations of waterproof gear. As I mentioned previously, all our waterproof gear is tested to a hydrostatic head rating, and really no waterproof gear is 100% waterproof for 100% of the time. The higher the hydrostatic head, the more waterproof it is, but really, especially if you're creating waterproof gear that's also breathable, everything has a limit. The limit on the Singletrack pant is high. Over time, your waterproof gear may degrade, and over time, especially if it's your pant and you're getting muddy and all the rest of it, you're going to want to wash it. Quite often, the regular stuff that you buy from the supermarket to wash your clothes in every day has got chemicals in it that are designed to help the clothes absorb water, because they want, when you put it in the washing machine, they want that dirty t-shirt to absorb water as quickly as possible to get clean. Now that's the opposite of what we want our waterproof gear. We want it to repel water. When you get specific technical products designed for waterproof gear, they got chemicals in it that help the clothing to expel water, and they put a coating on it that helps keep the water out. I was out riding recently with my friend Clive, and he had a very old Aqua jacket and it looked brand new. The water was beading off it and I couldn't believe it, and he basically said he's really religious about washing it with tech wash and reproofing it properly, and it was night and day. So my advice is to follow the instructions inside the care label in your Adventure Spec gear, especially your waterproof gear, and wash it with the right product that's designed for technical waterproof gear. Okay, so the Singletrack Pant and all of Adventure Spec gear is made in the EU. We've got a few reasons why we do that. We've got a very, very good relationship with our factory. We're confident that they look after their stuff well. And because they're based in the EU, it allows us to prototype faster. It allows us to create product at a scale that we can improve iteratively without having huge bulk orders. And it's just something we're really proud of keeping manufacturing here in Europe. Okay, so that was a Singletrack Pant. If you've made it to the end, thank you. I hope I've covered everything that you want to know. And if I haven't, leave a comment and myself or Maria or someone in the Adventure Spec team will get back to you, or you can drop us a help desk message over on our website. The last thing I would say before you go, if you've enjoyed this, of course, subscribe here on YouTube, but there is another subscribe that's very important, and that is our email newsletter. Something I'm really proud of. I put a lot of effort into. I send one, sometimes 2 emails a week to everyone in that club, and it's a community of people that subscribe to the idea of light is right, which is something that's quite important to Adventure Spec and our approach to adventure and trail and dual sport riding. Follow the links, head over to our website, stick your email in there. I promise you won't be disappointed. We've done it, we've got to the end. Thank you for your time, I really appreciate it. I know I've used up quite a bit of it today. I do appreciate you hanging around. I will see you soon.